Hello. I apologize that it's been so long since my last transmission. We were on the run from the hegemony. It's been a harrowing time for us. I have secured new quarters. Hopefully, I can transmit on a more regular basis. But I come bearing glad tidings. Throughout the city, we've placed marks like this. Now, when you find those marks, you will find the first of 4 caches. At the first cache, you will find the most important thing you'll find is a simple kit. It contains within it scissors, and this measuring tool. You will see on one side it says metric. You will find 2 metrics. You will measure on your left side 2 metrics down from your neck toward your collarbone. Then you will remove from the sanitary foil wrapping this scalpel blade. I apologize if this surgical blade is not the right kind, but I doubt any of you are doctors. You will find in here the handle for a scalpel as well as tweezers. I hope you don't need the tweezers or the scissors because it will get messy. You have measured down 2 metrics from the neck toward the collarbone. Make a small incision across. You will find this device. You are to take this device, insert it into the incision. It will find what it's looking for, and it will adhere to it, and then withdraw it. This is what it seeks, though the one embedded within your body is not nearly so large. It's just barely large enough to traverse the gap between the prongs of this device. Now, these chips are everything to the hegemony. This is how they track property. Yes, they consider you to be property. Whether you're the lowest plebeian or the highest patrician, everybody has a chip. Everything that is bought in trade is done so through the chip. That's why it is extremely vital that we get this out of you. A hegemony soldier would never remove his chip. because doing so means he would never be able to return home. Essentially, he would become one of us. That's why we ask you to remove these. That makes you one of us, truly an outcast. Because as long as you have one of these chips embedded in you, the hegemony can always promise to take you back into the fold. But without it, nothing. You're not a person. You're not an object. You don't exist. So, once you've removed the chip, you'll find directions to the second cache. Within the second cache, you will find currency. I am told that this was once a unit of currency. This is worth 10 credits, as it says on its face. You can use this to procure goods and services in the Badlands. Although, once you reach us, you have no need of currency. Everyone works, everyone receives. That's the way it goes. We don't have need for currency. You do your part, you get your part. That's just how we do it. I know. That's why they don't like us. Sometimes we think we'll starve, but we've managed to get by. Also, in the second cache, you will find basic medical supplies. I exhausted my supplies outfitting the last cache, so I can't show you all of what we've placed there. But I can show you this. Oh, there's still one left. These are a vital tool in the Badlands. Dust collects in everything. The longer you let it accumulate, the more difficult it is to get rid of. And if it accumulates in any opening of your body, like your ears or your nose, it can cause health problems. Many of us have succumbed to illness due to exposure out here in the Badlands. That's why we've embraced the name Morlocks. A reference I hope to explain to you one day, when you join us perhaps. But you get one box, a full box of these. Q-tips. One full box of Q-tips. Q-tips? Or maybe you just pronounce it with a Q, I don't know. Who's to say? They're incredibly handy. Another incredibly useful item out here is the basic respirator. Now this is just a simple basic respirator. You place it over the mouth and nose, and it protects you from particles. I'm not sure how small, but it protects you from the most important ones that we can tell so far. We don't have very good tools for detecting particles out here, but the finer dust seems to be collected by these, so I think we're all right. I don't know much about these. I know enough to put it on and to change my filters. That's about all I need to know. I suppose that's all you need to know. There will be one of these. At least one. If there's more than one person in each party, I don't know how that's going to work. I think the most we put in each cache would be 3, maybe 4 in some. I believe 4 would be the most we were able to put in each. But each cache has at least one respirator. This, I was reluctant to have these placed in the cache. I was against it. I'm not particularly fond of arming novices. I would rather have people trained first. First, you will notice that we will be supplying a holster for the pistol. Now, it is in the safety position. And now, if this had been loaded, a round would have been brought up from the magazine into the chamber, and it would now be ready to fire by squeezing the trigger. Keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire. And I would suggest keeping the safety on unless you're ready to fire. This is my personal pistol. I keep it on safety all the time. As a matter of fact, you can see I don't even load mine. I suppose mine's more for decoration, really. But the holster is adjustable. You can use it with a belt. It straps around the thigh, so it's easy to access. There will only be one of these at each cache. Only one. That's all we could afford to place. And I cannot stress strongly enough that the pistol is a means of last resort. Because untrained, a pistol is not very effective at range. If you haven't been trained to fire one, shooting it, you're going to want to be shooting it only at very close range and only in absolute desperation. I cannot stress this enough. It will end up being more of a liability than an asset. So keep it holstered until you absolutely have to draw it. I'm sorry to be so grim, but I cannot stress that enough. In the extremely unlikely case that you happen to be proficient with small arms, then obviously this does not apply to you. So you obviously will disregard this. You will already know how to operate and maintain the weapon. So we don't need to discuss that any further. So Once you make it past cache 2, the directions to cache 3 will be at cache 2. At cache 3, I have placed transmitting equipment. And I'm hoping that means that someone will start broadcasting back. My last transmission, I took for granted that those receiving the transmission had a basic understanding of communications technology and would be able to transmit back. Unfortunately, I realized my mistake. So in the third cache, I've set up communications equipment, and if you've gone through the first 2 caches, you will be able to access the third one. But I will tell you, at cache 2 and each subsequent cache, if one of these chips is embedded in you or in anyone near you, and you attempt to force open the cache, or you open the cache and the chip is present, the cache will self-destruct. Lethally. I apologize for being so grim, but that's what we have to do to protect ourselves. We can't have any of this falling into the hands of the hegemony. We really can't. So as long as we remove those chips from you and avoid any soldiers of the hegemony, we'll be fine. Remember, look for this sign. I hope to hear from you soon.